So on the next page, you'll find our strategy. This is not our values. This is the way in which we implement what we've received from God how to do. This is where it gets interesting. I've already started connecting some of the stuff so you can find the reality behind them. But we start off with our vision statement, obviously. What is our vision statement? A vision statement is a statement that summarizes what we feel we as a church do. Not what we want to do, what we are currently doing, what we're busy doing. And that statement is simply preparing believers for ministry. That's what we do, that's who we are. Okay, so why is that our summary? Because it summarizes everything the church should be doing. It's the Great Commission. It's going out, preaching the gospel, baptizing people, letting them grow spiritually, letting them get to maturity, gathering as believers. All of that has got a single focus, and that's preparing believers for ministry. Every single believer should do the work of ministry more and more and more. We should equip, we should strengthen, we should encourage every believer to do the work of ministry. And that's what we want to encourage in your life as well. So how are we going to get that done? How are we going to get that vision done? Because it's easy to say that's what we've got to do, but we have to actually get it done. How do we get it done? Well, basically what we did was we connected something we call the 4 pillars in our church. And our 4 pillars basically say where we place attention on and how we actually take action to do that. Okay. So we said that values is truth, embrace, action, meet. Truth speaks to the health of our believers, our truths, okay? Truth is how healthy are we, okay? CTNs, we call it CTNs, critical truths needed, is stuff you started working with already. When you did the enticed and enriched levels, we did CTN 1 to 4 and 5 to 8 with you. Those are critical truths. Truths we believe should be in your life to make sure you understand salvation and how Christianity works and so on. So it was important for us to implant 8 truths already in your life. Then we took a look at seed, and in seed we've literally every week we had, almost every day we implanted certain truths, but every week we focused on 2 specific truths that you can go and check up, and that's already what we did. So we're already implanting truths in your life because that's what we want to do, and we have to implant truths constantly. So we want to always ask you to be open to truth and to learn truth and to define if you are building on truth. So that's what we do. You can read the information for yourself, but it's a very personal thing. Truths are very personal. We can address truths in a group, but normally it's very personal. And the next one is to embrace, okay? And that's the balance. Now, if we talk about balance, for us, that's the fruit we believe in. So it's the balance between family, reach, unmerited favor, integrity, and team. We will do a lot of stuff around that, but for us, that's where we want to see you carry the fruit. We want to look at your life, and if you love God, we want to see the fruit in your family, in how you touch other people's lives, in your unmerited favors, how the favor you're receiving from God, in your integrity, how you walk before God, and in how you function in team. If one of those are out of balance, we know something's wrong, and that's what we use to check up. That's not the focus, but that's what we use to test, to see where you're at spiritually. We will always take that time to look, and we do it very personally as well. The next one is action, and for us that's the growth of believers, as we said. Now, growth of believers for us is done through something we call model of growth. A model of growth speaks to seed, roots, tree, trunk, and branches. You must have heard of us. This is very important information. It literally summarizes everything you can grow in spiritually, okay? So we address this in the church, in cell groups, in services. Everything is built around those, the model of growth. And then obviously we got meat, which is connected to involvement of believers, okay? And you know what levels of involvement, you know that you've moved from encouraged to enticed to enriched to enlisted and now to entrusted as the next level we want to move you to. And those levels are important for us because we want to see where you're at and what you need to get to the next level. And these aren't necessarily focused on how you grow in church, but how you grow in your life. We want to keep tabs on it. Now we know it's very simplistic at this stage and it gets very complicated very fast the moment when you get into leadership. From here on, it's not going to be that easy. The actions are easy, but they're difficult because we're not used to getting these simple actions into place in our lives. So that's what we're focusing on. So let's take a look at the 4 pillars now. So we have health of believers, we've got growth of believers, we've got involvement of believers, and the balance of believers. Okay, so team is where we focus on involvement. We've got A, which is action, which is growth of believers. We've got E, which is embrace, love God. We say fruit is where it's important there. And obviously the first one, that's the T is for truth, and that's where our critical truths needed work. And we say that's our health model. Okay, so those are the things that's important for us to focus on in your life, and that's the strategy we're going to use. So no matter how long this church runs, we will always have these 4 pillars focused on to test and see, are we giving enough truth? Are we giving enough growth? Are we getting people involved? Are we allowing people to get into balance in their relationships with God? So we always use these 4 to measure how we are growing spiritually. Is people learning these different skills? Are they growing in all these different areas? Because as they do, they will definitely be prepared for the work of ministry.